think this model of the camera has a hard drive inside.
Hey, I'm Donna Drake and welcome to the Daily Blue. This morning we have the wonderful David Gussin with us. How are you, David?
I'm cranky this morning. How you
Oh,
doing?
boy.
I'm ready for a cranky interview. Let's go. You ready to get started? Let's do it.
Oh boy, okay, David's cranky. So we're here today to talk about David's new show, which is called Hello, Long Island. And if he's too cranky, people are going to be saying goodbye, Long Island.
No, they won't
I'm
say
joking.
goodbye.
No, come on, it's good to see you. So why are you cranky? Let's start right off the top of the bat.
It's Monday morning, and we keep it real. And maybe Facebook is a world of likes and everything, but in the real world, people might get up on Monday morning or any day of the week and face what they're facing and be a little cranky. So that's how I feel now. I wanted to share that with the viewers. Let's see how we go from here.
I like that. At least he's authentically David, right? You know, a lot of times too, I have bad days, and people don't realize that. They're like, how in the heck can a live it up girl, you know, have bad days?
A lot of pressure,
you know?
right?
And, yeah, it's a little stressful. It's stressful to try to always be like, you know, little Mary Sunshine, you know? But I will tell you, working at Blue Chip though, the vibe here is usually upbeat and positive. I mean, it's rare that we get a little grumpy. And if we do, we try to like snap out of it by being grateful. So I guess that's kind of our like little magic twist to it. So.
I must admit, when I come to the Blue Chip place, a bit of a smile comes on my cranky face, but otherwise it's all good.
So what? Look at these. How cute are these? Talking about blue. Like,
Blue.
peppermint sticks.
Man, I'm keeping this
like a
one.
swizzle stick.
This could be historic one day.
There you go. It probably lasts as long as a Twinkie. You never know. It's in these candy sticks, but they taste good. So let's talk about your show. Hello, Long Island. Let's talk about the concept and why you decided to do an internet show.
The concept for me is to add another tool to help the Long Island business community, in this case, mostly the small business community, which is 90-something% of the businesses on Long Island, another vehicle to smartly get their name out there. That's the whole purpose of why I do the show.
Now you started long ago as a bagel man, right? So let's walk through your career a little bit, from inventing the everything bagel to who you are today.
Invented the everything bagel. It's real, guys. It's true. Worked in a bagel store in Howard Beach, Queens, New York. One of my jobs was sweeping out the oven. Those were my favorite seeds because those were the well-known ones that fell off the bagel over the course of the day. Was cleaning for years like that. Put it on my sandwich for years. One day when I swept them up, instead of throwing them out, I swept them in a bin. The next morning my boss comes in, Charlie, and said, Charlie, make some bagels with these. We'll call it the everything bagel. And not too long, the everything bagel is everywhere.
It's so tasty. Like my favorite is the everything bagel. I think sometimes with everything cream cheese. The one, or veggie cream cheese, you know, that's got like the little shaved vegetables in it. I don't know, it's like a meal. It's not just a bagel, it's more like a meal.
Yeah, no, the everything bagel. Now, today's everything bagel is not like the original. The original was made with well done seeds.
Okay.
But when we first made the original, it was just, we were making a dozen or two. We were just making as many bagels as the seeds applied for. But nowadays, they're made with fresh seeds, because there's not enough bird seeds to make dozens and dozens of them because they're so popular now. And the original bagel tend to have salt and garlic on it. And today's mostly have poppy, sesame, and onion. So little history on the everything bagel.
So working in a bagel shop, then what was your next step? What were some of your career paths?
Always entrepreneurial, always worked. I mean, I worked since I'm like 8 years old, first sticking flyers in the door for my next door neighbor who was a travel agent. You know, went on to be a paper boy, went on to the bagel store, went on to living. At a young age, about 22 or 23, after working in an employment agency, and see, I couldn't find a job, so the employment agency hired me. And then a couple of years, I started my own employment agency. It was called Dial a Job.
Oh, really?
Second foray into marketing, because on the Sunday New York Times 20 years ago, the employment agencies and others, they would take out ads. And the ads could cost thousands of dollars, even back then, $80 a line or whatever. I didn't want to spend $80 a line. So mine just said, secretary, dial a job, 972-9300.
Nice and simple, right?
On Monday mornings, the other people would get no phone calls. I would get like 20 or 30. As far as advertising goes and marketing guys, it shows Simplicity, guys, dial a job. Sometimes you put in so much stuff that the people viewing your ad or whatever it is, they exclude themselves because you put in so much in there.
Yeah, they kind of say, oh, well, I don't have that qualification, right, or whatever.
And not even that, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that, oh, I don't do that. So they could do be 9 things they do, 1 thing they don't, they'll exclude themselves because, oh, it's not for me. Dial a job, nice and generic, let me/you be the salesperson, be the one answering the phone. You decide to weed them out or not, don't let them weed them out themselves.
Oh, I like that. That's great philosophy, even in today's job market.
Any
And a
job
lot of
market.
people are looking for jobs, and it's, you know, include yourself in as much as possible.
Simple is best.
That's great.
And
Great
less
advice.
expensive, and less expensive.
So you went on from that, running, you know, trying to get people jobs, to now being the networker that you are today. I'm sure there was like some other stops along the way, but
The in-between stop is something that I've had the honor of speaking to you before. It changed my life to this day. Probably one of the reasons I'm cranky today, just a little
Aw.
frustrated with this world. In between the bagels and working, and in between 516 ads came Learn. And Learn, the original acronym for Let's End All Racism Now. Man, my fellow Long Islanders, I know you don't care about this, but if we're honoring Martin Luther King, and we honor Nelson Mandela, and everyone's saying how wonderful these men are and honoring these men are, these men gave their lives ultimately, amongst many things they maybe wanted to accomplish, to end racism. That was their goal. Martin Luther King was about justice and equality and ending racism. Mandela was about ending racism when it's all said. And here this regular average guy from a little house, I was in Merrick, Long Island, was watching a TV show and came up with a message called Learn. Let's end all racism now. And racism's not something people are comfortable discussing. I get it, but this is America. I always thought this is the one country where all people in the world come to make a better life for themselves. Every expert, whatever the problem is, they always say the way to handle that is through education. And it wasn't a purposeful effort, just like the Everything Bagel wasn't a purposeful effort. It was something we created. Man, Learn, let's end all racism now. If one person can explain to me that it's not a good idea to educate and inspire the children with the opposite to racism, maybe you'll convince me otherwise. But otherwise, I cannot be convinced that it's not a good idea to educate and inspire children with the opposite to racism. And the reason why that leads us here today with 516 ads is the media ignored me. Imagine that. Black and white person get into a fight, it would be on the front page of the news, maybe sell some papers. Here we created an opposite to racism, they ignored me. So my thing with 516 ads, it seems I have a little bit of talent to help businesses get their name out there. We call it igniting business. We like igniting business. But man, I ignite business because my ultimate goal is to introduce society to an opposite to racism. Learn, let's end all racism now. Learn, let's end all racism now. So simple. You're not joining a club, you're not joining a group, you're expressing a thought. Do you want to end racism? Man, my fellow Americans, if you do, please give some thought to educate in the future. Learn, let's end all racism now.
David, thank you. And I know you even had a song, you know, that was written about it, right? So the work's not done yet. I don't know if the work is ever done. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always going to be a generation after generation. We can make a difference one person at a time, right? One child at a time, and hopefully, it's like peace. You know, so many things are attainable, but it needs to change. Like one person needs to change, the next person needs to change the next person. I love what you do for networking. I think 516-631 ads is brilliant. In fact, just yesterday, a friend of mine said, Donna, do you know a plumber? And I said, no, I don't. However, I said, go to 516ads.com. I said, tell David Gussin if you can't find the plumber's name that I sent you. So it's just a great resource. It really is wonderful.
I thank you for that. The way we do networking, it's all about an attitude adjustment. People didn't even know networking could take place the way that we make it take place over the last 6 years. They didn't even know it existed. Networking's existed back to the 1700s and probably the prehistoric times. The first 2 times people shook each other in the caveman days or cavewoman days. They shook hands, they agreed on something, networking was taking place.
There you go.
But the difference of what we did here is we got everybody playing together. Imagine everyone playing baseball, but there was no Major League Baseball for the best teams to come together. There would just be teams playing baseball, but they'd be playing by themselves, but there would be no league. We turned networking into a league. And the reason is, we didn't know anything about networking. We didn't get into this to start networking. We came into this to build a Long Island resource. We came into this that anytime a Long Island business owner comes to me, I give them quality information. Whether it be to set up their website, whether it be meeting people, whether it be a tagline, whether it be the many different things a business could use. So we weren't trying to start a networking group as a place that wants to be a resource. Our job is to give business owners and the community, in this case, quality information. So when we got involved in networking, we weren't just telling them about our group or one group. We told them about all the different groups. And that started a interaction of networking activity that will never be put back in the box. And for those who participate here in Long Island, from what I hear, this doesn't take place around the country like this. You travel the country more than I do.
I do travel a lot, and when I was home in St. Louis, I asked my brother, Tony, I said, do you have like these groups or whatever? He's like, no. He goes, I think it's a great idea. He goes, I think I'll start one. So like, you know, it's just amazing because I don't think people are doing that, and it really makes a big difference. So, and then I guess that's, in a way, it's what your show is about. You plan on featuring different businesses and different people that have something important or valuable or a resource to bring to the table.
I like to interview, bring on people that have wonderful vibes. That when they're seen on the camera and we team up with Blue Chip and we bring them here, that they put off a good, and not cranky like me, but they put off a good energy, you know, to the people, and they also give out quality info. Now I realize that might bore people. It could bore people. We live in a society where, you know, my silly, stupid brat gets the highest ratings on television. We live in a society where the yuckiness rules on the airway. That's what gets the highest ratings. I don't do this show for ratings. I do this show for value. It's not even just about the show. When I team up with Blue Chip and your team, there's that social media aspect of promoting the event and getting the business's name out there. We work together, and you guys sent out your stuff and I sent out my stuff, bringing more value to the client. After the show is over, it's constantly running so it could be seen. Blue Chip does it, 516 Ads does it, we put it back there. So you got pre-show, you got D-show, and you got post-show. And on the web, it's also forever. So the value doesn't come in just the show. The value comes in the many different aspects that go in to give, in this case, the sponsors, because that's how these shows exist. Your show exists, my show exists, these shows exist, these events exist. Because in this case, Long Island business owners pay to sponsor them. And it's my job to bring them value, where I could look in the mirror and say, I did a good job for them.
Well, I know last episode, Jody Jacobson, you had the lovely lady from Butterfly Energy on, and you had a few other guests. And that time you were talking about raising money for a nonprofit organization so that people could get dogs. And then the result of that was the event was phenomenal. There were people, and it was like wall-to-wall people, and there was a band playing, and it was so much fun.
Give me a hand for this one, you wonderful thing, man. There were people there. There were dogs there. There were wheelchair traffic jams there. People in wheelchairs, in traffic. Dogs. There were babies there. There were seniors there. Someone used the term grassroots. Man, the community was there. And yeah, we raised over $10,000, which was enough to get one service dog and a half. That started from a networking event. That started from that young lady who was Christine McDermott from Butterfly Energy, was speaking to Doug King and was told that Doug isn't handicapped enough to get a dog. So who was this? Her name's Christine McDermott, but the person itself, Christine, who's wonderful, it could have been so many of the many people we know. What do you mean? You tell the person, what do you mean you're not handicapped? What are they, crazy? We're going to do something about it. You know, back with that term, doing something about it, and what we're trying to do. I haven't seen the term before, but we call what we're building a business community network. I'll just put it like this. There are people who go to war zones, I give them their prop, but it doesn't take much to report the news. It takes much more to do something about it. A business community network tries to do something about stuff. The economy's bad, we ignited business and continue to. Someone needs a service dog, we all come together and do it. You know, somebody's in need, your boss, the boss of Blue Chip, Corinne Caro, always there to help. A man like John Hassler, always there to help. So it don't take much, like I said, to report the news. It takes a lot more to do something about it. And all these people coming together in Long Island, New York, that me and you see on a daily basis, it almost wouldn't seem real to people who don't know that it exists, because it almost seems like a fantasy land. A fantasy land of so many good people coming together almost on a daily basis, working hard and doing good things. I always say that in a low tone, but I think I'm going to stop apologizing for that. That's a great thing to do, and I hope it continues to grow and grow.
Now, are you feeling better and less cranky now that you've been hanging out with me? Not
no.
yet? Man,
No,
I gotta do a
it's
little,
not you.
gotta
You're
drink
wonderful.
magic here.
And by the way, Jody Jacobs couldn't be here today. She had a thing, but Jody's just wonderful. Jody, you couldn't be here today, but it's the vibe of someone like yourself, and there's so many wonderful people that we deal with that allows me to come here and be willing to possibly make a fool of myself on camera, and whatever goes along with putting yourself out there. It is your belief in people like you that allows me to come here and do what we do and face the consequences of ridicule.
Now, David, what about some upcoming shows? Who do you think you'd like to have on? Some of your ideal guests or sponsors. Who would they be? What's your short list?
There's so many wonderful people. It would be wrong to exclude them. When I think in my mind of someone who would not deserve to be on the show, it would be an honor to have them. Might be boring, but I'd love to sit across from John Hassler, a man like him, and just give him his props.
Hello, John.
Yeah,
That call's for you.
Here's a Long Island businessman, owns his computer company, works with other computer companies. There's a thing of synergy. So on one end, he works, but he's not looking for all him. But here's a man, there's a lot of people that have passions out there. And we go to these events, and they have their charities, and some are more well-known charities, cancer associations and stuff. Others are less known. But there are literally hundreds of people doing good in the community on a daily basis. And a man like John Hassler, he hears their cause. I don't see what he gives them, but next time they come in, he always has a check for them. He always has a helping hand for them. He sees something good in the community, he wants to help. So it would be an honor to have him. And as John knows, there's other people out there like him. These people, I guess the reason there's so much passion in my voice, these are not the people who make headlines. These are not the people who are making the front page of the paper. These are not the people who are making, covers and getting shown. These are the invisible people that make the world go round. This is what 516 Ads is meant to represent, the voices of hard-working, loving, caring people. I believe most people are like that, but most of those people go ignored. Yet that's what makes the world go round. And I hope one day, like I said, there needs to be an attitude adjustment. One of the things that drives me is there's too many sad people in this world. We know them. They might fake it on Facebook, they might fake it in the meetings, but there are too many unhappy people in this world. And I can't speak of the rest of the world, but right here in America or in our little region, I think the reason they're unhappy is there's such a pressure for money.
On Long Island, I would
Probably
absolutely think
everywhere.
so.
There's a pressure for money. And what happens is when you don't have money, you don't think you have value. You don't have the value, you just feel bad about yourself. You could paralyze yourself. You could stress yourself. Maybe you could do without nothing, but you can't, but it will consume you if you think you can't send your kid to school. Maybe you could do without nothing, but it'll consume you if your kid don't have health insurance and you're responsible for that. And there are people battling this battle more than any of us know. And until, this sounds weird. I don't think I'm going to win this battle in life. But until love becomes more important than money, and until there's a societal shift in getting our priorities straight, we're in trouble. There are too many people, and I mean more than half in my opinion, who are constantly sad because of money. And even those that are doing well, and they are caring, even if you're doing well yourself, you know someone who's hurt it. And most people, that would make them hurt too. I'll shut up now and take the
Well,
next
you know,
question.
it's funny that you said that love over money. When my grandparents were dating, it was during the Depression, and you know, money was tight. You know, or during wartime. I think it was during wartime, and money was tight. And so they would always say, they're like, well, if we waited till we had enough money to get married and have children, we would have never gotten married. We would have never had kids. You know, so they just went for it. You know, and they were happy for their whole life. They were happy because they put love first, you know. And you can always, I always say the same, David, and you know I say this, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time, you know. So the most important thing is how you spend your time, more so than how you spend your money. And I agree with you, that there's times of plenty and there's times of lack. And I think if you can help give people hope, which was originally why, one of the reasons I had started Live It Up originally in 2008 was the economy was bad. I don't know if you remember this. But I said, what could I do to give a little bit of hope? And I think Blue Chip Marketing with the Daily Blue and all of the shows, they all do skew pretty positive, you know? And so Hello Long Island is really about celebrating the goodness in the community and showcasing people like John Hassler and other people that have something important to say and those that want to help others. So, and are you coming? Are you coming? Oh, hey, we have a note from our producers. Da, 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 da. Wait, there's a phone call. Okay. All right, just a quick announcement. There's 2,451 people watching right now, David.
Man.
Hello, Long Island.
Man, hello, wonderful people. Man, don't let this world beat you up, man. You know,
That's
you
really
keep,
great.
You keep fighting, you keep struggling, you keep hugging and kissing, and somehow we'll turn this thing around. We will get, you know, America, you know, is the freedom that comes with it. But with that freedom comes responsibility. Because, man, if you don't use the opportunities that you have, you could struggle so hard. You know, you could struggle so hard. And with those opportunities, I apologize, my 2,400 viewers. You didn't get me nervous, but I'm a little off track here. Let's start moving things in the right direction. You know, it's about work ethic. You know, we were talking about work ethic. Probably we came through a time in the 80s and stuff, like everything's so many scams. You know, you see stuff out there, make money without working. You know, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. That's a scam. You know, and the problem is this. There are too many people reaching and searching for hope that these people get taken advantage of. And I try to do my best not to let that happen.
The other thing I wanted to mention too is that my grandfather used to always say there's a reason that there's a butcher, a baker, and a candlestick maker. And you know, and I think that's true. I think if everyone can just kind of find what they're good at, that one special thing that makes you unique or different, and you just go do that the money follows. I think you got to follow your talent as opposed to following the paycheck. So I always thought that was great advice.
You got to do the job great and know the money, and the money will come. You can't want to do it for, you can't want to, I want to make money. No, you got to want to do the job great and the money will come. And then of course you got to give thought to if there's a business for it. You know, you could be great at something, but that doesn't mean you can make a living from it. You know, maybe you're great at, you know, knitting caps. And maybe you can become the best, biggest cap maker ever. And I hope you do, and come to me, maybe I'll give you some ideas.
Caps for sale,
But at the
caps
same
for
time,
sale.
maybe you do it as a hobby. So there's a delicate balance for everyone. And from a business advice type of thing, each person would be taken accordingly. You can't talk to a group and have the answer for everyone in that group at the time. And just one thing, Donna, about you, your goodness is so natural. I believe you have an inner good. Like everyone else, like me being cranky today, I'm sure you get frustrated in time. My inner good isn't as good as your inner good. My inner good is based. No,
You
it
just have to
isn't.
dig it out.
Nah, you can say, mine is more based on a cynicism. You know, a cynicism, but what's the best thing to do about it? It's to fight through the cynicism and try to do things with a wonderful spirit and a wonderful way, and always try to always do what is right. Put it this way, if I'm not going to do something that's right, I'm going to do it to myself, not to someone else.
Jancy, we had a call. They wanted to know, when is your next show? Do you remember what day it's scheduled for?
Of course I remember.
January,
I don't forget
right?
these
Okay.
things. January 6th 9:30 a.m. We're gonna be kicking off the new year here on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Our sponsors are First Equity Abstract / Pink Tide.
Yep.
Doing wonderful work in the community for people with cancer. Actually, John Hassler is one of the sponsors. Don't know if I'll have him on as a guest. I was talking to John about maybe doing some tech tips with us to start off the year.
That sounds like fun.
And Trinet, multinational company, one of their bases is here in Long Island. They represent a PEO, a professional employee organization. What matters about that to our small business owner is with healthcare and many other things, as a single business owner, you might not have options to get into certain pools to get the best prices, say on healthcare and stuff like that. But when you work with a company like Trinet, that might open up your options to be able to buy into some of the better, smarter programs out there for you as opposed to just a small regular business owner. So that's who we'll have on that Monday.
That sounds great. And tech tips are always important. Remember Y2K? So John's company, I think, is called Total Solutions 2000 or Total
2000 Computer Solutions.
Right? And I think he rescued a lot of people from Y2K. So his tips are always good and exciting.
Yeah, and secure your computers, guys, for a few dollars a month or for pennies. Back up everything you have, back it up every night, because one day you could lose it, and literally years worth of work that can't be retrieved could be lost in a split second. John Hassler taught me that, and that's one lesson I'll never forget.
And coming up, we were talking about charities. Corinne was the cover of Milieu magazine, and we're very excited, but in typical Corinne fashion, she decided not to make it about her, so she's making it about charities. So if you're free next Monday night, December the 16th from 6 to 8, we're going to meet at the Tillis Center. And the intention is to fill an entire truck with wonderful toys and clothes and donations. So please join us, Tillis Center from 6 to 8 for Milieu Magazine, the cover party. It's like the charity that just keeps giving back. So it's going to be fun.
Corinne's beautiful face was in our email blast this Sunday morning. I think that event's taking place at the Tillis Center.
Yeah.
The same week, we're going to have our 6th annual holiday party.
6 years?
6 years. We've been around 7, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
our 6th
sponsoring that,
annual.
December 19th.
You know, it's beautiful. Live It Up is sponsoring it, and
Yeah.
Blue Chip is sponsoring it, and Network USA is sponsoring it, Image for Success. It's the one time a year where all the networking organizations, groups, call it what we want, come together. On one way, it's our way to thank the Long Island business community. It's a wonderful balance of how we work together. You get the facilitators like yourself, myself, and others who put the activity together, yet we can't do it without business owners supporting us. We all come together and we're raising toys for, hey, Charles Roberts, your wacky weatherman from the Salvation Army, for EAC. Long Island Charity, been around many years, serves like 65,000 families in Long Island a year. And the last one is JC's Kids. There's a wonderful woman in Long Island named JC. She looks like a little Long Island Mother Teresa. She's a wonderful woman. And man, she don't have a penny to her name, but she tries to collect toys for these children and
And she
does a
actually
lot of
goes
good
to the
in the
hospitals
community.
and visits them. She brings the toys herself. I mean, that's really spectacular. So,
Yeah.
well, stay tuned for more on the Daily Blue. I'm Donna Drake, and this is David Gussin. And it's going to just keep rolling because I don't think there's anybody on the other side of the production team today to turn it off. But I think we've been talking for about a half hour. So stay tuned for more on the Daily Blue. And if you have your questions, you can always call us at 631-337-1603. That's 631-337-1603.